Hi guys, I've been trying to work out how to do this. This is not the way that I would like to do it. I'd like to do it with the official picture of the 2016 out of my collection. This is only a small part, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 21. I've got 21 coins. This that's on that you're seeing is the best that I can get that's in a relatively same state. But what I want to do out of these 21 coins, I'm going to weigh them, and they should all be 8.75 grams. So 8 is grams and dot milligrams is next, and then you go further down the scale. Now I know we went through the basics on my pre-video of the pound coins, but the problem with going online, and I know the Royal Mint do this, so I've got nowhere to guide you to get an official picture of each year. What you tend to find is they just take one picture of a proof or mint coin, and then they just copy that over for each year until it changes to a different design. So that's that sorted. Now I'm going to do it by weight because it's the for me anyway, with one arm, it's the easiest way to do this, because doing it by size, I've got to use a micrometer, and I've only got a basic micrometer, and I don't think that's really necessary, because if you piled these all up in on a pile, they would all be roughly the same uh, the same size. The thing with the weight that we have to take into consideration is the older they are, the more inaccurate they're going to be, because of the dings and dents and whatever, the scores across the edge, across the coin, which is all part of a basic loss of material. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, a dent doesn't really mean to say that it's lost its material, it's just deformed. But some coins, they look like they've been through the Third World War. So you've got to give a leeway. Now, when you do measuring of coins, I usually give a 0.2 thousandths of a milligram. But you could, if you went to just the 8 grams and one of those was wrong, that really is a blatant sign that it's not right. There's something definitely wrong. But I usually give it a leeway of 2 grams. So instead of it being 8, it can be 10 or less. That's been, I think, is being really reasonably fair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and go through these as quick as possible. I'm hoping the battery doesn't run out in my scales, because if I do, that's the end of this video. But here goes, and I'm going to leave this one on view, so you know you've got something to look at least. But this is, I was going to do it on my small magnifying, but of course I can't get the whole coin in picture. I'm going to do it like that, and there's basically, hang on, that's, oh sheesh kebab. Really need two hands for this. Right, that's basically the whole coin in picture. I'm not going to mess around with doing that because it's hard to do it with one hand. It really is. So all these other ones, we've got 20 coins. I'm not going to write them down because I'm one-handed, and I've tried to do it. I've been through the site and I've done up to 20, and they're all 8.75. So with the not including the one that's on view, I'm just giving you that for something to look at. Here goes. Right. 8.76. I've got to get that in the middle. 8.76. Oh, blimey. 8.80. So that's quite a bit out. If you're going to go down to the million, this is 8.81. Oh, this one's under. Hang on, let's get that centered. This one's under. 8.73. See, that's not really, when you're going down to that, the thousandths, the millionths, and whatever. That's not something as 880. So these should be 875. Okay, just keeping that in mind. The problem is one that's just quite a way over. 884. And then what I would do, 879, not too bad I suppose. 877, that's near as damn it. 878. Oh, that's way out. 884. Spot on. 875. Let's keep that one out. 875. That's spot on. Not forgetting that the one that was on view, I haven't. 870 is under. Oh, 866. That is way under. 882 is way over. 876, near as damn it. I'm not going to keep that one out because I've got one that's spot on. I'm going to have a look at that in a minute. Oh, another one, 875. That's two that are spot on. Doing well. 880, that's quite a way over. 879. So what I would do, using using the law of, I can't remember what coin it was when I was talking about this, 882. Right, so that's off. We've got, I should have done the one that's in view. We've got two that are spot on. That's these two. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the image that I've got that I can't show you. All I would say is, if you want to try this and you've got a fine set of scales, pick a site. You can, there's many of them. I usually do either the Royal Mint site or the Coin Club site. Both are fallible, meaning that they use images carte blanche. They don't do individual years. They just take the one year and then keep posting that, because I suppose they're doing it on design change. Really, because if there's no design change, there's no need to do that. I understand the principle of it, but then that's letting them off the hook. Do you see what I mean? If you're not taking a picture of each coin, proof, mint or otherwise, then what you're accepting is that all coins are the same. And we know, you guys should know by now, that that is not true. That is simply not true. So it's a wild, that's a wild insinuation by these people that all has been taken for granted that all coins are the same, and they're not. Now, so I'm going to take these two coins. I'd love to show you the picture, but I really can't. It means getting my camera, setting that all up, and it's more aggravation because my left arm is where everything I've got camera wise is set up, because I used to use my right hand, obviously, because it's my good hand, for finer alterations as such, and clicking the mouse. So I've got the image on screen. And I just will need to get my eyeglass out. Right. And the second one. Don't forget these are 8.75 dead. And there's a discrepancy there between the two. And I think the second is better than the first. So I'm taking that one out of view now from you. I'm putting this one up because that is the best. But to prove it to you, what I would have done is had the camera set up so as you can see. I still don't know that that's right. If I have my camera set up, how I would do it. I'm just trying to work it out, because we're not looking for exact strike. We're using, so I've got, yeah, I mean, I've got to use, well, I suppose I haven't. I could still do it the same way, but you wouldn't be able to then see the coins. No, there isn't. You can't do it. I really would love to see a way of putting pictures into a video on YouTube. I mean, I can't even create a short. I've been over and over and over it in YouTube as to how to do this, making shorts. And I just can't do it. I cannot. Everybody's got their own interpretation or their own way of doing it. There must be multiple ways of setting up a short, and I must have done it myself because I've got one of my coins set up as a short. So I don't know what I'm doing, but it's really peeing me off. It really is. Um, but there is no way of doing this for me with my magnifier and the normal image. Um, I wonder. Trouble is, my camera keeps my cell phone that I use for this. Um, must be sort of antiquated because it keeps closing down after 40. Mind you, they all seem to do it around about the 40-minute mark. But with the cell phone, I think it's something to do with the battery because you're using a video that's taken a lot of power. So I would imagine that the battery heats up quite well. It's not quick by any way, shape, or form, but I mean, 40 minutes is quite good for a video length. Most people wouldn't even do that for 40 minutes to show a video. I did it when I used to go to the cemetery. I have been to the cemetery this year, but I'll wait for the next hot spell and I shall start going over, especially while my arms like it is. I will visit the cemetery more often. So this is the best one. Now I'm going to do away with that. Where's my camera icon? Right. There. Oh, it's just slightly out in the width. I'm going to leave it like that. That is the best. Actually, it is the best that I've got. And unfortunately, even that is not very good. I'll tell you why. When I did the one previous to this video, what I look for immediately is these four things. Looking for the shamrock, the oh jeez, the shamrock, the leek, the rose. What's the other one? What's Northern Ireland then? That's Northern Ireland, isn't it? No, Northern Ireland. The island will be the shamrock, won't it? Shamrock. That's the leek is Wales. The rose is England. What's that one then? The leek, rose, shamrock, and I can't remember. My mind is a complete blank. I know these off, but it's usually the shamrock. I forget. This time it's this one. It's the leek, the rose. What country? What region is out? That's Ireland. Thistle. Thistle's the Scottish one. God, thank the Lord for that. Yeah, so that's so they're the four you look for, because the rest of it, which I haven't been doing, I've not done at all with the pound coins, is looked at the design on the inner coin. But you tend to find this one definitely, the shamrock, these tops of leaves are really, really variant. I mean, really variant. This one, the thistle, what they like to see is from about there onwards, they like to see the lines going up into the head. And the head is made up of crisscross lines. Okay. The leak normally is this part joining the outer coin. And funny enough, it's not anything to do with this. So it's definitely the inner coin that moves, which alters, because you won't see it on there so much, which alters these leaf tops. Some of them can be wildly out of position, and some of them more than others. So you'll get them either bigger than this, or bigger than that, or underneath that, the same as well. That one, like I say, is pretty. You can look at these quite openly with your naked eye. This one, that part there should join roughly about there. But like this one has, it's joined halfway through. This is not a very good one, this coin. This part here should be bigger. Coming out, it should be much thicker. And then there's nothing really that I'm aware of further down. But those things are the big indicators of what I would look for just with a eyepiece, or just viewing it from the naked eye. All this here I've not really paid much attention to. And there's really not much else other than the edge thinning and widening, and the inner rim, which you don't really have to take any notice of really, because there's the lines that are in between each wording or year date. You wouldn't be able to tell. Let me show you that. You wouldn't be able to tell because it's so fine anyway. It's ridiculous. So visually, it's as I've said, without a shred of a doubt. That's what I've said. And it is the inner coin. If you remember the coins that I've showed you, let's go to the two that I've done. So there's the first one that I've done. And there you go. It's pretty spot on. It's pretty spot on. The things that you're looking at is this prong of this crown. Okay? And the marrying up of this. That is spot on. You've got the whole of that in view, and you've got that in the right place. You cannot go. I mean, this coin's now looking very, very good. Very, very good indeed. And to be honest, if you look at this writing. Look at it. But if I was to take that down to magnification, sitting on this plinth, let me have a look. It's sitting on this. You'd probably find that that's not as bad as what you think. But that is definitely, that there and that there is definitely the two indications. The rest of it is on this security feature. You'll find that that moves. It can be further away, or it can be this side up and that side down, whereas this one's upside here and that one's downside there. It's very minute, but trust my word, that's right. But you will see sometimes that is very much different. Also, the outer edge line, sometimes you will see, sometimes it's pretty faint. You will see a line coming out this way or a line coming out this way, I would assume that that's where the coin has moved. Now, if you're looking at the inner coin to the outer coin here, you can see that that's like a blob. But I doubt it is. I think that's actually this side of the inner coin is deeper than this side. So anything that's shiny is up, and anything that's not shiny is down. Because if it's down, that's deeper because you've got a shadow. If it's up, you've got the light shining against it. Like how brilliant that is, how the light's shining against it. So, yeah, don't take any notice of that until we go to the next video that I'll do. And I think it's the best way to do it, is to take certain videos of the same coins and how different they are. And I've only got these two that are spot on, so it's not going to be that bad. Because what we should see is when we do this properly, when my arm's back into action, you're gonna be using your weight as a better guide than the picture. Now, see, it's got to be the magnification because the same lettering is out of focus. Let's get rid of that coin. This is the second coin, and if you look again, sort of everything is blurred. Let's see if I can get a better. Right, that's out. Yeah, so there it is. That's the best image you're going to get for me. It does slightly look better, but and again, I've got to say, these two coins that are spot on, the crown, this is the second coin, the crown and the neck, the trunk and the neck are better. But look at this, and it's really minute, but you get used to it. It's one of these things you get used to. First, the brightness of this which is raised, but also, like I say, with that line, it gets wider off. Sometimes even that sort of nearly goes onto the coin. The other way of checking it is this as well, the chevron. So it's the chevron should have a gap between it, whereas if you look at that, it doesn't look like it has. I don't think there's anything else that I can pick up on, because the writing and detailed pictures, we need the magnifier. This might be okay for doing the outer lettering, pardon me, the outer lettering, but for the inner coin, we really need that, especially with double heading, poor striking, the date, not the date, the initials. Shush, that's my phone. And anything like the Queen's imagery around this part, which is always the piece. The eye, they say that the eye is the piece to look for, and I suppose it is because it's got more detail. But I use this more than the eye. But what I would do normally when we was weighing these, I would put them on a piece of paper in series so that I know which one's which, and we can compare the pictures on here rather than um, from the site. If you've got two that are like this and they're exactly the same on the head side, the obverse side, that's what I would be looking for. Does that make sense? Um, when it's magnification, then it's a completely different ball game. So I mean, look at all these dents and flipping dings on these coins, and especially around the edge. Yet they're spot on, and you sort of got to ask yourself, well, how is that? How can that be when you've got all this damage? It's quite amazing, really. Um, but you see this micro writing. Yeah, that's a good security feature, but not if you're handling coins. If you're handling coins, how the heck are you supposed to read that micro writing? And I know my eyes are dodgy, but flipping heck, they're not that dodgy. But yeah, just having a look at that yeah, no, there's too much going on. You really can't tell. You can't. So you need to see that under magnification when you're doing this. And you're going to have, if you're doing, unfortunately, if you're doing your daily change and you're only getting a few coins every time and they're all different years, it's hard to keep a record. It really is. Really depending what you want out of the coin. Um, like I say, I mean, for me, what I've said with the head side most definitely is the two things that you go for straight away. The two things you go for is the prong of that crown and the trunk of the neck. They must both be near enough right, both together. If one's out and the other one isn't, you know it's wrong. You just know. And that's all there is to it. That's what I say, you get so used to it in the end that you, with the naked eye, you don't need a magnifier at all because you just know. Um, but I suppose nothing else is perfect. Nothing is perfect all the time. Um, but those two do seem to be exactly the same, which is quite good. Um, and looking at what we just done as an average, I think you've got to give. I'm just trying to remember the figures that I was quoting as we were going through them. I reckon you've got to be looking at least 0.5, and that's being really, really good. I mean, it is. That's been a really, really good allowance. Um, either side. So you're looking at either 8 grams. No, hang on a minute. So what you should be looking at? What we? It's minute, isn't it? 8.75. And if you used to do 8.80, that's quite a big jump. I know that's only milligrams, but even still, I suppose really what you need to do is weigh something that is actually for size. What actually is? Does it look like? What does 0.80 actually look like in reality? So you need like a little tiny bit of grain or something like that that's going to be in dimension roughly the same to what you're seeing. So really, yeah, unless it's really massively out one way or the other, because they all weighed 8 grams. It's the milli and thousandth grams that that are that are wrong. So I think if you see a coin that's 7.99, which I very much doubt you will, I mean that would be obviously out. So I would say any coin that is 0.4 out is what we should be looking for to study the coin. The closer it is to 875, the less likely it's going to be. What I've just been told to do is pick a coin and see if we can keep in what you've just seen in your mind. Let's go to this one. Now, this one is actually quite good. That is spot on. The leak is spot on, but that isn't. That part of the leak isn't. It's usually a bit bigger than that. This part of the leaf. This, you're wanting, as we've done with the old coins on the previous video. This you want to see lines going up onto the head. If it hasn't got those lines going up onto the head, that's flagging you. And sometimes you get this where you don't get any. It's a crisscross effect of the head when you think of a thistle, and the top. You should be looking for that. But that is really spot on. Really, it is. But that one's not. It's really weird. It's a bit like the Britannias. Do you remember? If one part is out, obviously the other side has got to be a part out as well. But when you see it like this, you're definitely going to be looking at something wrong over here. Like I say, that's the one thing you want to look for. I know it's a fine print, really, in strike. If you see what I mean, if you look at the lines on that, on the bottom part, to the lines on top there, to the lines on the head, you sort of can understand why. Because it's the boldest part of the coin. So that should really be the most, in definition, should be quite clear. But there are coins that is just not so. And then they're the coins you want to marry up with the weight. Because the suggestion would be that in that process, something of the striking is not right. It's hard to, I can't really describe what I want to describe. But for visual purposes, that's true. If you can't see that crisscrossing on the head, something's wrong. And there's quite a few coins that are like it. This here that I'm looking at, that should be like 2 leaves, even 3 leaves, maybe. No, that's one. There's 2, I think. There's one there and one there. That is part of the flower head. That's a leaf. It is actually 1 leaf. Yeah. But you can see the middle bit going up. You know, when you see a leaf, it's got the main stem, and then you've got the veins that go out into the leaf. Well, that's the main stem. Do you know what? There's something ringing in my head about that I've read somewhere about this thing. But all this detailing, if it's not right, if this is not right along around there, then this is not going to be right somewhere on here. Now, the other thing I wanted to say, like we've seen with the £2 coin, and I think it's very, very fine. This is I think you definitely would need the magnifying glass. If the lettering comes close to the inner coin, I've not seen it, I've got to say, and I think it is very fine when you think of what you're looking at on that other side, on the reverse side. It's not drastic enough to alter this, but I could be wrong. I'm just going by what I've seen. I'm just looking at that. Actually, that's not a bad prong of the crown and neck of the trunk of the neck. That's not bad at all. Now, it would be interesting to see what the weight of that was. Because that's what I would do. I would go through them, and if one is weighed, like, instead of it being 75, it's 80, I would be looking for something different, something going on. Now, I'll tell you one thing that doesn't look right is the depth of this is what's the word? Begins with a C. I can't think of the word. Even. I think that's, yeah. This looks quite like a bigger gap. So that would tell me, if that's true, that, and if you've got to look how minute that gap really is, but it doesn't when you got it under magnification, how much this would alter, and it's not enough. It's not enough to be able to see that. You really would need a really good microscope. You really would need a microscope to work that out and to be able to give you the figures. The micrometer that I've got is brilliant if you're just laying it down on the surface and doing the width. That's about all it's good for, because if you want to do anything other than that, you've got to hold the micrometer in your hand, and as soon as you're doing that, unless you've got a dead set hand, not shaking like mine is shaking, it's really, you can't tell, and you're talking really tiny amounts of difference. So that is as best I can do, and we're up to 44 minutes, and I'm going to post this, and I hope that's given you my version of what's you're going to be looking at, rather than a supposed mint coin. Yeah, I hope that's been pretty positive for you, and we will expand upon it. And the most prolific coins, just as last point, the most prolific coins in circulation is 2016 and 2017, and I think they were the years that were most prolific in fakes. If I remember rightly, anyway, I'm sure it is. 2017 and 2016 were the most prolific years, obviously when it first came out. The other thing with this pound coin is the magnetic test with magnet, because if I remember rightly, like the £2 coin, the inner coin was made up of a different metal. It's supposed to be nickel. Oh no, I can't remember. Nickel alloy, isn't it? Q. Is it cupronickel? Is that what I'm thinking of? Cupronickel, copper and nickel. I think I've got that right. Don't quote me on it. The Chinese used another metal completely, which made it magnetic rather than non-magnetic, so you could pick it up with a magnet. Blimey, listen to that wren. God, stroll on, the laugh whistle it does. Yeah, so that's that. So I hope that's given you a better idea. And also the detail, although it's pretty basic, there's a lot to be going on. And there's six things in principle. These two, the crown and the neck, and then the four criteria here. Now, I don't want to keep going on with this, but that is not what is correct. And looking at that, also, the only good thing there is this. The only thing that's perfect is this. That is not anywhere near perfect. Actual fact, you can see that those two things are not very well struck. But the crisscrossing here is rubbish. It looks like the top has been knocked over. And that's really that. So you're looking at, you've got six things that you've got four this side and two the other, which really would be your quick determining value of what's right and what's wrong. Now what I've got to do is keep those two separate, because I know those two are spot on. Yeah, hopefully I will do that tomorrow. Hopefully I won't do it tonight, because I've now got to go and put all this on video. So thank you very much, and look forward to doing this again. See ya.